All right, everybody, we're going to be boys for Thursday, October 31st. It's Halloween. Fuck it. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. Boo, boo, boo.
Boo.
Is that a ghost for Halloween? Or is that a mob of people outside the mansion of David Zaslov after his planned rollout for Clint Eastwood's number two? You're the jury. You decide. You decide. But yes, it is Halloween, but I would say, a sad Halloween, Clayton, because of what Warner Brothers is doing this weekend. Would
I
you
still
agree?
think I mean, it is sad, but it's also scary. I think it's scary
Mm-hmm.
what Warner Brothers is doing to its talent, one of its top talents, a person who's made them probably $1 billion
Probably. I mean, several
conservatively.
Oscars. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Who has gotten their films done on time and on
Yes,
budget.
yes, yeah. He's at least saved $1 billion. That's for sure.
Yes.
Clint Eastwood, and his timeliness has saved Warner Brothers billions and billions of dollars over the years, compared to other directors who go over schedule, over budget.
Yeah.
So it's a disgrace. I mean,
And
we'll get into this.
he hasn't made Unforgiven 2, where his character turns out to be a coward who wasn't actually the guy from the first movie,
Right. He didn't
and
do
he's
Unforgiven
killed.
2 when he was never a cowboy.
Yeah, he was never
Was
a
a cowboy.
cowboy.
No.
And the audience was stupid
Yeah.
for liking him as a cowboy and thinking he's a cowboy and wanting to be a cowboy.
Right. 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 He never did In the Line of Fire 2, and it turned out that he did want to stand over the body of another dead president. And
Mm-hmm.
his
Mm-hmm.
character actually wasn't a Secret Service agent all along. And the audience was wrong for wanting him to not stand over the body of another dead president. He never did that movie. He
No.
never did that. But that's what we want. I mean, Clayton, we're coming in hot. We're coming in hot for Halloween. And do we just start it off with Daddy? Or do we have to bump this up? Do we have to go higher
Yeah, I
than
mean,
Daddy?
I'm furious. I mean, you could tell I'm simmering. I'm seething.
You're seething. Usually we do Daddy's Home when
Mm-hmm.
hard truths have to be delivered. Daddy comes home.
Would you say that's a patented segment that
That
we've
is a
done? That we sort of own that segment? I would say, right?
it's a signature segment, and I mean, God, so many levels to what Daddy has to do today. Because the first thing Daddy has to do is get mad at someone else,
Yeah,
some fucker. We'll say
schmo,
that.
some
Well,
schmo.
some schmo, some fucker last week stole our IP,
Mm-hmm.
went out in front of whatever, some crowd, a crowd that
Crowd of
couldn't
schmoes.
rival what the BO Boys did in New York City and are about to do in Boston, but went out in front of a crowd and stole the BO Boys signature Daddy's Home bit
Mm-hmm.
and started telling people that Daddy's home, and then not
He
only
ain't
stole
Daddy.
our bit, not only stole it, Clayton, but bastardized it.
Yeah. Oh, the things he did to it.
Yep. Yep. He started having Daddy do things that Daddy would never do,
Daddy would never do those things. No,
because
no.
this fucker went
Uh-huh.
out there and he said Daddy's home, and then Daddy, he started doing disgusting things, started spanking young people,
Despicable acts.
and that is not what Daddy, who is registered with the U.S. A patent office.
Yep.
We do have a copyright on Daddy being home,
Mm-hmm.
but Daddy would not do that.
No.
And the fact that he changed that, it still doesn't get him out of legal trouble,
No.
because the main thing he did is he stole that Daddy's home,
Yeah.
and then where he went from there, it only impinged on our abilities to profit and monetize Daddy in the future, our
Mhm.
IP.
Yeah.
I mean, Clayton, when you saw that, were you seething, or were
Yeah.
you chomping at the bit to sue this fucker?
Oh, I mean, I want to sue this fucker so bad.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's one of those things where it just would be wrapped up in the courts for so long. And I think the better way to go about it is the court of public opinion. And I
Yes.
think the court of public opinion will be on our side that we have used that term.
Yep.
Daddy has been home several times on this show.
Yes.
Daddy has done things to help people's careers,
Yes.
to talk to studio heads.
Yes.
We have done God's work when
Yes.
Daddy's home.
Yes.
And what this fucker, as you say, and I agree, I
Yeah.
also think he's a schmo, but he's also a fucker, has done with that term is blasphemous.
It's blasphemous. Yes. Yes. And it,
And
again,
twisted and perverted.
it's yes. Yes. And that is not who Daddy is. The Daddy that we created and own the lifetime rights to. That is not what Daddy does. Daddy does not come home and spank minors
No.
in front of a crowd of schmoes.
No, he doesn't
Daddy-
have to. Daddy doesn't have to put hands on people.
Right.
Daddy knows how to use his words.
Right.
Daddy knows how to respect women
Right.
and people.
People. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is that. The court of public opinion is going to have its day.
Yeah.
All right. And the juries of public opinion are going to have their day with our IP being bastardized, being stolen.
Mm-hmm.
But juror number 2 is not having its day this weekend.
No.
It is not, and that is because of Warner Brothers, David Zaslov. I mean, let's set it up and then it's time, because Warner Brothers has a movie on its hands that should be a wide release, should be getting a full Oscar rollout. Clint Eastwood's juror number 2, Nicholas Hoult as and this is not giving anything away because this is in the trailer, as a member of a jury who, once he's on the jury, realizes that he is actually the one who committed the crime that his jury is trying right there. I mean, what an incredible premise. So
It's
that
an
obviously
incredible
is going
premise.
out in 3,000 theaters, right, Clayton?
You would think so.
You would think so. But
But it's currently,
mhm.
from what we're hearing, going to be in 50 theaters.
Oh, all right. It's time. It's time, Clayton, to ramp this up, because we need someone to fight for justice here for Clint Eastwood
Mm-hmm.
and what Warner Brothers is doing. And I think there's only one person who could do that, and that's Granddaddy.
Yeah.
Granddaddy's home.
But we by no means are giving up the daddy's home, though.
No.
But the reason why is because this is about Clint.
Yeah.
Zaslov needs to hear from somebody that is the same age range as Clint.
Yeah. 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 So Clayton, what is Granddaddy looking like right now as he walks in this house? Is he upbeat about what Warner Brothers and David Zaslov are doing as he pulls up in his Oldsmobile?
No.
He's
I
not.
mean, he is like me
Mm-hmm.
and yourself. He's seething.
Yeah.
But it's a quiet seething that only that generation can have.
Right.
I mean, Granddaddy's never talked about his war experience. It's lived
Mhm.
inside him, and he can call upon it anytime he wants. But he won't tell you about it.
Right.
Because that's none of your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he's been through some things.
Yeah.
Some things that men of Zaslav's age couldn't even imagine, couldn't even fathom.
Right. Right.
And so he's walking in with that, still spry, walks with a strut. I mean, Granddaddy is 90 years old,
Wow.
and he walks like a 60-something.
Wow. Good for no cane, no walker.
No cane. No
No
cane.
cane.
Of
No
course. No cane.
No cane.
He's walking in, and first off, I mean, let's just get down to the disrespect here, because it's not like Clint Eastwood has had a string of bombs. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He had Cry Macho.
Yeah.
And now, while we're on this subject, I just need to posit something, because we used Cry Macho and we continue to use Cry Macho as a yardstick for a
Mm-hmm.
movie not opening well.
Right. For opening at 4.5 million or less.
Yeah. Do you think,
Mm-hmm.
because we're a powerful show within the industry,
Right.
do you think our use of Cry Macho, it possibly is one of the reasons why this is getting only 50 theaters? Because
Wow.
have we banged that drum and kept that so in people's mind that Cry Macho, Cry Macho, Cry Macho, that they got scared
Right.
about Juror number 2? Even
Right.
though Cry Macho was always going to be a hard sell, because like cowboy movies don't do that well. It was about cockfighting. It came out during COVID times, and it was day and date.
It
So it
was day
was
and
a
date.
such a huge uphill battle for that movie to do anything. And at the end of the day, it would have just been, okay, well, Cry Macho, nobody ever thinks about this movie again. Maybe they watch it once in a while on Max. But we never let it go.
Right. We never
So
let it go. Yeah.
is Grand is is Granddaddy upset at us?
Is he at our house first before he goes to David Zaslov's yacht?
It's on the
Because
way. I
it,
mean,
we're on the we're in the same our house is in the same seaport as David Zaslov's yacht is parked. Here's what Granddaddy would say to that. He would look at us and he would say, "This isn't your fight.
okay.
This is David Zaslov's doing. He knows he should know the difference. And a man of Granddaddy's generation,
Mm-hmm.
he knows that what people do is on them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not someone else's fault that David Zaslov decided to put Juror number 2 in about a dozen markets this weekend. It's not because of something he heard on the radio, even if it is the biggest show in drive time radio.
Mm-hmm.
Granddaddy knows every man's life is their own.
Yeah.
And that is what he would say. So he would look us in the eye and say, I don't care for what you said,
Mm-hmm.
but this is on him. This is on him.
I mean, do we retire Cry Macho out of respect
For Granddaddy
for, well, and for Clint? Yeah.
and for Clint, I think we do.
Yeah.
I think that is what, we looked into Granddaddy's eyes because we didn't expect him to pull up to BOHQ. We thought he was going straight to Zaslov's
Straight to
yacht.
Zaslov's. Yeah.
But he pulled up to BOHQ, took a swig from BOHQ's water cooler, crushed the cup. He threw it on the floor, let's be honest.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't believe in recycling.
No. He saw the recycling pail there and he sneered at it. He just threw it on the floor. And he knows VP of Interns Christopher, he'll sweep that up. He'll take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pick that up.
He knows. It's part of his duties after his promotion is now he has to clean up around the office.
Yeah.
But I think when Granddaddy looked at us and he said, "That's on him, but I don't like what you did," that got to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to sign off on that with you, Clayton. We will no longer use Cry Macho as our barometer of a movie opening under $4.5 million.
Mm-hmm. We will, out of respect,
Yeah.
choose one of the many Lionsgate bombs
Yes.
that have come out in the past few months.
Yeah.
And one of those will be the new Cry Macho.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe we leave that up to the listeners. We put a poll out on social media. Which Lionsgate bomb will replace Cry Macho?
Yep.
As the new symbol of a bomb.
That'll get huge engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be huge. Thank you, Granddaddy, for setting us straight and also giving us a new social media poll that we could put up for listener engagement. Thank you.
I almost wanted to ask Granddaddy what cologne he wore, but I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's just a combination of, chewing tobacco and whatever, um, wood shavings
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
are stuck to his flannel because he makes cabinets.
Yeah. If we asked him what kind of cologne he was wearing, he would just look at us and he would say, "Life."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're smelling life right there, boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, Granddaddy, thank you for visiting BOHQ. Goes back outside, gets in the Oldsmobile, and now he's heading straight for the waterfront because he's going to that yacht.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to Zaslov's yacht to speak to this man. We don't even have to say, but Zaslov security that was waiting outside the yacht, they're gurgling in the water right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 The last one dove off the dock.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because he's like, please don't. Please don't.
Mm-hmm.
So Granddaddy, he's on the yacht. And listen, they're making a living, but all these women who are paid to be on the yacht, they're scattering.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're scattering.
Yeah.
Because they know Granddaddy's got to talk to Zaslov.
Yeah. And he's not going to put a hand on one of them.
No. This is not the bastardized version of Daddy.
No.
That some fucker is trying to steal from us.
God, could you imagine what that fucker would have Granddaddy do?
We can't.
To these women?
It's a raw feed,
Ugh.
but we're not. So, Granddaddy, he's got Zaslov one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
in the rec room or this gaudy bedroom of the yacht.
Ugh.
You know it's a water bed. He's on a boat. Zaslov is on a boat. But you know he's got a water bed, a circular water bed inside this yacht.
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's new and he thinks it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Silk sheets, silk boxers.
Yeah.
Silk robe.
Yeah.
Fat fucking belly.
Yep.
Hanging out.
Yep. Granddaddy, he pops the waterbed, right?
Yeah.
Does he do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He does.
It's like, why don't you go for a swim?
Yeah. And you know what? He doesn't even use a knife. He uses a screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
Granddaddy's got a screwdriver just in the breast pocket of his jacket for some reason.
Well, he's got one of those wood shavers from his woodworking. So that's what he uses.
Mm-hmm. So
and then Zaslov's in the waterbed, and he's like, I can't swim. I can't swim.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going to drown.
Yeah.
And there's a second when Granddaddy's like, should I just let it happen? Right. And then he's like, no, I gotta put words in this guy's head.
Exactly.
I gotta speak to this guy.
Exactly.
I gotta set him straight. It's too good for Zaslov to drown in his circular waterbed on his yacht. That's too good of an ending for this man.
Yes. Yeah. He deserves a more embarrassing headline of Variety on the day he goes than drowned in waterbed water.
Yeah.
On a docked boat.
Mm-hmm.
So he stands him up straight.
Mm-hmm.
Because Granddaddy's got to look you in the eyes when he tells you the truth.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's soaking wet. And it's a mix. Zaslov is wet from its waterbed water. It's spilled champagne. And it's other liquids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other liquids.
There's a liquid running down his leg at the moment, for sure.
Yeah. So, Granddaddy, he looks at him, and he says, you know why I'm here. And this bozo Zaslov, he's like, is it Acme versus Coyote?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it? And Granddaddy, he doesn't even say no. He just shakes his head.
Yeah.
Just that craggly, wrinkly jaw just goes side to side. No. Is
Is
it?
it Batgirl?
That's the one that almost gets Granddaddy. Almost gets him to smile at the
Yeah.
thought that Granddaddy would get in his Oldsmobile, drive for hours because he doesn't live near the yacht. He doesn't live near BOHQ.
No, no.
So he's driving for hours. He doesn't stop. He didn't stop in the middle of the night. He just kept on driving.
Yeah.
That he would do all that for the Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
That David Zaslov thinks that Granddaddy's ever read a comic in his life.
Ugh.
He knew the guy who created Superman. He
Yeah.
knew those fellas.
Yeah.
They were nice fellas.
Yeah.
Granddaddy. He knew that they would make something of themselves
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when they were all kids playing stickball.
Yeah.
He played stickball with the guys who created the Superman character,
Mhm.
created the Batman character, because they're from Granddaddy's old neighborhood.
And he told him you guys should get the copyright, and they didn't listen. They said, no, they'll take care of us.
And then young Granddaddy, who was as wise as Granddaddy is now,
Yeah.
he said, "Sure they will.
Sure they will. Mm-hmm.
And he threw something heavy on the back of a truck as a kid because
Mm-hmm.
he had his delivery route and he had to get to it.
Yeah.
So Granddaddy was not there for Acme versus Coyote. He was not there for Batgirl. He was not there for even putting Cry Macho day and date instead of just giving it a full theatrical only release. He was not there for any of that, David Zaslov. He looked at him and he said, "Number 2." And Zaslov took that differently.
Mm-hmm. He's like, anything you say.
Anything you say.
If you want a number 2, I got one in the chamber.
Yeah. I mean, this
He's
this
really
is where
disgracing himself. Zaslov is really disgracing himself.
he is. And it still wouldn't be an embarrassing enough variety headline
No.
for Zaslov's variety headline.
Mm-mm.
That head of Warner Brothers Discovery does number 2 while drowning in his own waterbed water on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be what the final Zaslov headline needs to be.
No.
So he says, "You better not.
Mm-hmm.
You better not." Juror number 2. Juror number 2. And then he looks him straight dead in the eye again. Clint. Is this when Zaslov knows that he's cooked right here? He thought maybe he could talk his way out of what Warner Brothers did to Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it wasn't testing well, Granddaddy. Granddaddy, we wanted to save Michael Keaton's appearance as Batman for The Flash because we secured Tom Cruise's endorsement of the Flash movie.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to ruin it by revealing Michael Keaton as Batman in Batgirl. That's what happened there, Granddaddy. He thought maybe he could talk Granddaddy out of that. Or, Acme versus Coyote. Granddaddy, there hasn't been a Looney Tunes movie that's been successful since you were a kid, Granddaddy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Will Forte, great comedian, genius, but he's not a movie star, Granddaddy.
I mean, look at MacGruber, Granddaddy.
Look at
MacGruber.
So Zaslov thought he could talk Granddaddy down if it was about Batgirl, if it was about Acme versus Coyote. But once he heard those 3 words, juror number 2, I think he knew that he had no chance of getting out of this. That doing a number 2 and drowning himself in his waterbed water was probably the best way out at this point.
So he tries to dive back in.
Yeah. He goes head first, but it's waterbed water. It's already dissipated. It's, it's a little puddly, but most of it is out on the deck now.
He's trying to pull a Bruce Willis in Glass.
Yes, he's slurping it up.
Yeah, he's trying to drown in the smallest puddle of water possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and the paid party goers who Zaslov pays to hang out with him on the boat, they were coming back in to get their hats, because they had hats strewn about. And
Well,
they
it's a
just
hat party. It was a hat party.
it was that you wear your wackiest hat to
Yeah.
Zaslov's yacht. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming in to get their hats because they want to return them. They just rented them for this party.
Oh,
They
yeah,
rented
yeah,
the
yeah.
hats with the money that he paid them to be there.
Yeah.
And they walk back in the room to get their hats, and they just see David Zaslov slurping a wet floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
While Granddaddy looked over him in disgust, and they were
He's
like,
salt
you know what?
burning. He's salt burning.
Yeah. Yeah. And they sort of like, you know what? We'll come back for our hats another day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Granddaddy looked at him and said, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice for these party goers to see Granddaddy. I do think that's going to help all of them in for the rest of their life. That they were able to witness Granddaddy and His Majesty standing above David Zaslov slurping the floor.
Yeah.
And they saw the two ways you could go in life.
Yes. Yes.
You know, you could be wise, old, healthy, or you could be a man in a robe with a giant belly slurping a wet floor.
Yeah.
And which way do you want to go, party goer?
He changed so many lives that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Again,
without many words.
Yeah. And without spanking anyone.
Yeah.
He
Putting
didn't have
hands
to
on
spank
people.
anyone.
No, you didn't have to spank anyone.
My God. So, I mean, he doesn't want to resort to using physics, but he had to yank Zaslov up at that point.
Oh,
Stop this man from slurping the floor.
Yanking ain't spanking. We always say that.
Yanking ain't spanking. That should be on a bumper sticker. And guess what? We have that intellectual property because it comes out of the original Daddy's Home IP.
Yes.
So don't go stealing our bumper sticker, our yanking ain't spanking slogans here.
I mean, and part of the reason, listen, we did need Granddaddy to come home, but part of the reason is the same way Marvel created She-Hulk to keep the copyright of Hulk safe in case anybody tried to take it. Granddaddy is a way to keep Granddaddy safe from this fucker.
He's an extension of the IP for sure.
Yes.
He is now part of the Daddy's Home, B.O. Boys, podcast universe. So
yeah.
So that he's got him, juror number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Granddaddy has to say, Clint was Warner Brothers guy. Clint had an office for decades. Unforgiven. Mystic River. $1 Million Baby.
It's right there
when
in the title.
When they thought Clint was done, every time you people, and he's talking about people, you executives, you scum, every time you thought Clint was done, he came back bigger, stronger than ever. And then this is where Granddaddy really lays the truth down, not just with the Academy, not just winning the Oscars, but for a second, is he going to drop an expletive? But that is not what Granddaddy does. That is not how great-grandmommy raised Granddaddy. He doesn't drop the expletive. He goes, but at the box office. And this is where Granddaddy is able to start rattling off numbers from the top of his head. He's 90 years old, but it's as if he was Scott Mendelson. It's as if Granddaddy was Scott Mendelson being able to pull box office numbers out of his 90-year-old head. Space Cowboys, $90 million domestic. $1 Million Baby, $100 million domestic. Gran Torino, he asked Zaslov, how much did Gran Torino make at the domestic box office? And Zaslov is, uh, 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 Granddaddy, that's not a number. Give
No.
me a number. What did Gran Torino make at the box office, Zaslov? 14 million domestic total? Granddaddy has to keep himself from slugging this chump.
Yeah, yeah. Restrain himself.
And he does, because he's a man of that generation. And he saves his actions for when he's sent overseas
Uh-huh.
to fight the Axis. That's what Granddaddy saves. He's not going to use his violence on Zaslov right now.
Oh, and he's waiting for that call.
He's waiting for that call.
He's ready
He'll go right
anytime.
back.
He'll go right back.
He'll go right back.
Yeah.
He'll storm those beaches again, Granddaddy. 90
He'll
years
kiss
old.
his wife's picture,
Yep.
on his the one bedside table.
Yep.
Kiss his wife's picture, gear up and go.
Yep.
He's
He'll
ready,
go.
and he's ready at any time.
He'll get in that Oldsmobile,
Mm-hmm.
leave the yacht, get in the Oldsmobile, drive straight to Normandy. And he won't sleep. He doesn't.
Well, he's
sleep
got to go
anymore.
back and kiss the picture and then drive to Normandy.
Yeah.
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 Got to kiss that picture.
He's got to kiss that picture. It's the
Mhm.
one thing, the one picture in his bedroom.
Yep. Best years of his life.
And so he says he restrains himself from violence, and he tells Zaslov that Gran Torino made 148 million. Zaslov says worldwide, not worldwide, domestic. Worldwide, Gran Torino made $275 million.
Mm-hmm.
So then, I don't know why Zaslov would even answer back at this point. But Zaslov goes, well, but that's so long ago. What has Clint done in the last 5 years? And Zaslov says 2 words. Clayton, do you know what those 2 words that Granddaddy says to David Zaslov were?
Well, it's a little more than 5 years, but the mule.
Oh, it is just a little more than 5 years.
Yeah.
The mule. The mule made $103 million domestic,
Mm-hmm.
$69 million international. The mule made $173 million worldwide, and it was a cultural sensation. Granddaddy knows this.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that this seeped all the way through to where John Mulaney did a entire segment on SNL's Weekend Update on live national television. We cannot stress this enough. Live national television. John Mulaney did an entire weekend segment about the mule and how great it was. And that took off. That went viral for its day. So you're talking about Clint Eastwood made a cultural sensation that made over 100 million domestic, featured Bradley Cooper
Mm-hmm.
in the movie there out of loyalty to his man Clint. Because let's not forget, Clint, as a director, Granddaddy's just rattling off movies that Clint was in.
Mm-hmm.
But he directed American Sniper, which opened at about $90 million.
Mm-hmm. Went to 350 domestic.
And Granddaddy is... Do you even remember American Sniper? You weren't there. You weren't at Warner Brothers.
No.
You weren't there. Granddaddy was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. Granddaddy remembers that baby that Bradley Cooper held in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And it made him think of his babies that he's held over the years.
Yeah.
And did they grow up and are they talking to Granddaddy? We're not going to get into that.
It's personal.
We're not going to get into that. We're talking about the baby that Bradley Cooper held in the Clint Eastwood directed mega hit American Sniper. that was released by Warner Brothers before when David Zaslov was negotiating contracts for season 4 of Dr. Pimple Popper.
Disgraceful.
Granddaddy looks at Zaslov. He says, "How's Dr. Pimple Popper?
Mm-hmm.
Did you finish writing up his contract? How many pimples he has to pop next season? Do you got that in the contract, Zaslov? Did you negotiate the correct number of popped pimples? Because that's what Zaslov used to do before he somehow became the head of the most storied movie studio ever. He was negotiating how many pimples had to be popped on a new season of Dr. Pimple Popper.
Mm.
Oh, there's 48 pimples? Maybe this season we get him to pop 53 pimples?
That's more pimples than the number of theaters
Yeah.
that Juror number 2 is going to be in.
Jesus. When Granddaddy figures that out, that Zaslov is paying for more pop pimples than he is for Juror number 2 screens. Again, he wants to unleash.
He shakes him a little.
Shakes him a little bit.
He does. The head does go back.
Yeah.
Back and forth a little. Because, I mean, Zaslov's got a weak neck.
Yeah. I mean, he almost snapped at slurping up that waterbed water.
He's a weak-necked man.
Yeah. He's a pencil neck geek in the parlance of Granddaddy. He would call this man a pencil neck geek.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he stops him from shaking because he doesn't want to break this pencil neck.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not Normandy.
No.
Even though Granddaddy sometimes mentally goes back there,
mm-hmm.
he stops himself. But the thought of Zaslov paying for more pop pimples than for Juror number 2 screens, that almost got him.
Oh yeah.
And Zaslov then he goes, "Cry macho, the BO boy, cry macho." And Granddaddy says, "I already dealt with them.
Mm-hmm.
I already dealt with them, and they handled it like men.
Mm-hmm.
They handled it like men." So now Zaslov, he's got no out. He thought he was gonna lay this all at the feet of the BO boys, and maybe he'd send Granddaddy after us. But we already met with Granddaddy. We let him throw paper cups on the floor.
Yeah.
We handle it like men.
Mm-hmm.
We had our intern clean it up.
Of course. Unpaid,
but VP.
mm-hmm.
VP level.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it. Zaslov has to answer for his crimes. And there's nothing he could say to Granddaddy.
No.
Nothing he could say to why he would let, and this is where Granddaddy loses it. In his final years, you are disgracing one of the greatest of all time, who has done more for this studio than you'll ever do with 1 billion popped pimples. There is no amount of pop pimples. There is no weight that you could put on someone's life in a reality show that will do for Warner Brothers Discovery what Clint Eastwood has done for decades.
No.
You took away the man's office. You took away his woodshed. Clint Eastwood basically had a woodshed on the Warner Brothers lot. He goes, "Are you going to try and take my woodshed? You can take Granddaddy's woodshed? Come for it. Come for Granddaddy's woodshed the way you did Clint's. I'd like to see you try." Zaslov doesn't know what's going on now.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't know what's going on because he didn't know that wood was carved in a woodshed.
Yeah, he doesn't know what a woodshed is.
He doesn't know what it was. He thought the trees grew that way.
Yeah.
he didn't know that wood had to be carved into chairs, into tables. He's like, oh, I just thought that's how the tree grows. I
Cabinets
didn't know
just
you need a
appear.
wood shed. Cabinets
Cabinets
just
just
appear.
appear.
Yeah. I said I'd like a cabinet in my yacht next to my waterbed, and there's a cabinet there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that a woodshed was involved. That's not enough. Not knowing isn't enough for Granddaddy. And he tells him, this movie, this Juror number 2, should have been in 3,000 theaters. It's opening on a weekend that was fully clear. Granddaddy tells him Venom is not as strong as it once was. There's not another big movie that opens for 2 weeks until Red One, and Red One will bomb. Granddaddy knows this. Red One will bomb. This audience has nothing serving them until Gladiator 2 on November 23rd. This was the weekend where Juror number 2 could have come out in 3,000 theaters. And Zaslov cry. You better not say cry macho. You better not cry, and you better not say the words cry macho.
You know what he does try, though?
What does he try?
Richard Jewell. He tries to say Richard Jewell. He invokes Richard Jewell, which also came out after The Mule. But Granddaddy says he directed Kathy Bates to an Oscar nomination.
Exactly.
So you can shut up about Richard Jewell.
Exactly. That was a prestige play, and it got its Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
It was a prestige play that worked.
And
he says, Juror number 2 is a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Juror number 2 is an old-fashioned 90s thriller, the kind of movie that people wish they made more of. That is what Juror number 2 is. Juror number 2 is a premise that anytime anyone hears that premise, they're sucked right in. That's what Juror number 2 is. Juror 2 is a movie that currently has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Granddaddy knows, hey, Rotten Tomatoes ain't everything. And Granddaddy, he looks to the side, he looks at the camera, and he says, I'm not a critic, huh?
Huh.
And then he looks back at Zaslov. But he had to do it.
And also, he would never let a tomato rot in order to criticize a film.
No.
He grows his own tomatoes in his backyard, behind the shed, behind the woodshed.
Yep.
And he makes sure to eat them when they're ripe.
Yep.
It's wasteful to have rotten tomatoes.
Yep. He bites it whole. He picks it right off.
Oh, he eats it like a fruit, like you should.
He eats it like a fruit.
It is a fruit, and he eats it like a fruit.
Yep.
Any questions?
None from. Listen, the BO boys, we already had it out with Granddaddy.
Yeah.
We're not starting anything.
Nope.
We're not starting anything here. Let that man eat his tomatoes right off the tree. And there's wood shavings in the ground, and that adds to the taste.
Oh yeah, it's got an earthier taste.
Yeah.
Because he spits his tobacco out there too. So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on in Granddaddy's soil. There's a lot going on. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics love this. Audiences respond to this trailer. Nicholas Hoult, sure. Renfield didn't work. It's not really working out for Nicholas Hoult as a superhero. He's not going to be Tom Holland. But guess what? Granddaddy pulls the menus numbers out. Nicholas Hoult in a old-fashioned, adult-aimed thriller, even in COVID times, back in fall 2021, the movie made about $40 million domestic. And he could work in this type of movie. This was a chance to take a young, rising, talented actor like Nicholas Hoult and give him a true old-fashioned star vehicle and turn him into someone that could be useful on this Warner Brothers lot years down the line. You got to build for the future. That is what my generation did.
Mm-hmm.
We went out and we fought and we built for the future. And if you're not going out there to fight for Nicholas Hoult so that he could be part of Warner Brothers' future, what the goddamn hell good are you? What good are you, Zaslov? What good are you? When you won't even go out there and fight to make Nicholas Hoult a star with an old-fashioned star vehicle. That you won't fight to make Zoe Deutsch a star.
She so poised. She was poised for it. She was poised for it for so long. She's just been let down.
Yep. Let down again by men like David Zaslov.
Mm-hmm.
Because Grandaddy knows, in my day, Zoe Deutsch would be a movie star.
Yes.
There would be studio heads who would know how to make her a movie star with vehicles directed by a legend like Clint Eastwood, like Juror number 2.
Yeah. I mean, look at $1 Million Baby.
Look at $1 Million Baby.
You don't think Zoe Deutsch can throw a punch?
Huh? Why not? We're never going to find out when this movie is only in 12 markets and about 50 theaters. Doesn't even get a preview night.
No.
That's what really
Gall's
Grandaddy.
Mm-hmm.
The years that are visible on his skin, they really tighten up when he thinks of the fact that Juror number 2 doesn't even get Thursday evening screenings. It only plays Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Grandaddy looks at him. He goes, "Did you think Clint Eastwood is a Fathom event? Oh. Is that what Clint Eastwood is to you, Zaslov? Clint Eastwood is a Fathom event? He's a night at the Met? He's a 25th anniversary screening of American Pie? Is that what Clint Eastwood is to you?
He's a Mystery Science Theater reunion.
Is Clint Eastwood riff tracks?
Oh.
Zaslov, look at me when I ask you this. Is Clint Eastwood riff tracks? Is he riff tracks?
Ugh.
And maybe because you started and should be in television.
Mm-hmm.
Is Clint Eastwood season 3, episode 4 of The Chosen?
Oh.
Is that what he is?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a goddamn Fathom event? Zaslov made Grandaddy use the Lord's name in vain. That is where he's gotten Grandaddy at this point.
He hasn't done that since Normandy.
This is
well, and when his wife passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 3 biggest events in Grandaddy's life. Normandy, when he stormed that beach.
First one out.
Last one in. Last one back in.
Yep.
Yeah. Normandy, when Norma passed.
Yeah.
And then now the third biggest moment in Grandaddy's life, when he's got David Zaslov standing in a puddle of waterbed water and he is talking to him about what he did to Juror number 2. Those are the big 3.
And Zaslov he goes for the big one, and he says, this thing could have been streaming. And we put it in theaters for the Academy, for Oscars. And Grandaddy says, I know that's not true. Because I went on Warner Brothers for your consideration site, and guess what's not on there?
Wow.
juror number 2.
Wow.
So
That's a big.
if this is an awards play, you're playing it wrong.
You're playing it wrong.
Someone in IT forgot to put it on your website.
And Zaslov, big gulp. I mean, you would think this man is at a 7-Eleven because that was a big gulp from Zaslov
Yeah.
when he found out that Grandaddy knew juror number 2 is not on the Warner Brothers for your consideration site.
He's shocked Granddad went online.
Yeah.
He's like, there's no way he's going to be able to go on the For Your Consideration website because all the 85-year-old hairdressers still in the academy can't do it.
Right.
They're still calling me about DVDs.
But you know what? Grandaddy, he saw the movie Thelma this year.
Mm-hmm.
He smiled once or twice, but he learned something from Thelma. He learned how to use the internet from that movie. He learned how to use the internet thanks to his
He knows
screening
how
of
to
Thelma.
X out those pop-up ads.
He knows how to X out the pop-up ads. Thank you, Thelma. And then when the IT thing came up, Zaslov, he jumped on that. Yes, it was IT. And then Grandaddy looked at, ain't their fault. You're the boss.
Yep.
You're the boss. This is on you. Juror number 2, not getting a serious Academy push from Warner Brothers. That's on you. Back in my day, it all fell on the lap of the boss. And you want to be the boss? Then it's your lap we're going to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So no wide rollout. No Oscar push. Warner Brothers putting everything in the Dune 2 basket, which, hey, serious contender. But Clint gets nothing, even though he did direct Kathy Bates to an Oscar nom just a few years ago for Richard Jewell. Even though he's got multiple Best Director, Best Picture wins, multiple acting wins for Morgan Freeman's and Hilary Swank's and Sean Penn's of the world. Gene Hackman directed them all to Oscars, but juror number 2 gets no Academy Awards push from Warner Brothers. And Grandaddy knows how the Oscar game is played. He knows that this kind of rollout kills juror number 2's Oscar chances. Kills them dead. Because there's no platforming going on here. And Grandaddy knows this. He knows that Zaslov, this isn't part of a wider strategy where every week it opens in more theaters. He knows this is the end. This is the end for the rollout of juror number 2. And this is the end for this Oscar chances. And this is the end for Clint. He knows this.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandaddy, he's struggling with his own end. He knows it's coming. He knows it's coming. He's not scared of it.
No.
But he wants to go out the right way. And he wants Clint to go out the right way. And Zaslov, he ruined Clint Eastwood's chances to go out the right way. Clint Eastwood should be going out with juror number 2, opening wide this weekend, having a real shot at finishing number 1 or number 2 at the box office, having a real shot of word of mouth. Have you ever heard of that, Zaslov? Have you ever heard of word of mouth where people see something and they tell other people that it was good and then those people go to see it? I know that's not how things operate in the world of Dr. Pimple Popper, where you're just making slop for people to have on in the background while they're folding laundry or cutting their toenails or falling asleep. But Clint Eastwood makes things for people to love and to tell other people to go see it. And you're taking that away from him. You're taking that away from him. And you're not letting Clint Eastwood go out the right way. And it makes Grandaddy think, is someone like David Zaslov going to take my chance to go out the way I want? Is he going to take that away from me too? The way he did it from Clint Eastwood, the way he did with juror number 2. I mean, this is when Grandaddy looks at the edge of the boat and he sees that water,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts thinking
Normandy.
Normandy all over again.
Yeah.
Norma's passing all
Mm-hmm.
over again.
Yeah. Well, he spread her ashes in the water
He spread her ashes in the water. Yeah.
per
Yeah.
her request.
Yeah. He didn't agree with what she wanted to do to her body at the end.
Mm-mm.
But Granddaddy, he knew it was Norma's choice, and he's going to honor Norma's wishes. And he
Woman's
spread
right
those
to
ashes
choose.
in the water. Yep.
Yeah.
He spread those ashes in the water. And he's
He
looking at
saved
that
a little
water.
bit. He saved a little bit though.
Oh yeah. It's in the woodshed.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's, he's misplaced things. Is it wood shavings? Is it Norma? It's all sawdust on the work table,
Mm-hmm.
which is, she also would have wanted that too. She wanted most of it in the water. She wanted some of it in the sawdust in the woodshed.
She'd have to know that that's
was one
part
of
of it
them,
would
yeah.
show up. She knew that.
She knew that. She knew.
She's smiling from up above. She knew.
Yeah.
She knew.
Yeah. And he's looking at that water, thinking of Norma, thinking of Normandy, and he's thinking, after what this Zaslov did to Clint, what he might try to do to me at the end, do I just put him in the water?
Mm-hmm.
No one will miss him.
He'll sink like a stone.
Yeah. He ain't floating.
No.
He ain't floating. What he's got in his stomach right now, it's pulling him straight down. He's got this man's got rocks cooking in that stomach.
Yeah.
And he knows no one's going to miss him. Those party goers that he paid to be on the yacht, they're long gone. On to better futures because they met Granddad. He knows that the other executives at Warner Brothers Discovery, they'll replace him without even thinking about it.
Oh, they're all mindless drones.
Yeah. Here's a different development exec from Discovery who's now going to be running the biggest, most historic film studio of all time. This person could replace David Zaslov. So they're not going to miss him. I mean, if he does have a family, they forget. When are we reading the will? That's all they'll remember about David Zaslov.
Yeah.
The creatives, they ain't going to miss him.
Mm.
The actual people who write, direct, star in films. If Granddaddy were to deposit David Zaslov in the water, and the water's not that deep, they're parked at the coast, but he knows Zaslov's not swimming his way out of this.
Yeah.
Those creatives aren't going to miss David Zaslov. The actress who played Batgirl sure ain't going to miss David Zaslov. Bugs Bunny will not miss David Zaslov if Granddaddy deposits him in the water.
Wile E. Coyote.
He'll
hold up a sign that says "Good."
He's out. He's by the side of the yacht right now. That's where Granddaddy is looking at. Wile E. Coyote, he's got this sign. Good. He spins it around. Other side says, "Do it."
Yeah.
Do it. Wile E. Coyote is saying, "Do it," with a sign.
But he has ran off the dock and not looked down yet.
Yeah, but the sign is still there.
Sign's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. It just says, "Do it."
Yeah.
They're not going to miss him. Dr. Pimple Popper, he'll miss David Zaslov. He'll miss him. He's the one person when David Zaslov when Granddaddy deposits David Zaslov into this water, and that's the last anyone hears of David Zaslov, the one person who will mourn him is Dr. Pimple Popper. And not because they were friends, not because they had a real human connection. He will miss David Zaslov because that is the one person who would pay him per popped pimple to be on television.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that when Zaslov is deposited in that water, his whole pimple pops right there. That's the end of it for Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yep.
Getting paid to pop pimples on TV. He knows David Zaslov is the only person who would pay him for that.
Mm-hmm.
So he will mourn. He will mourn. And Granddaddy, he's going through all this in his head.
Yeah.
What Bugs Bunny's going to think, what Dr. Pimple Popper's going to think, what Bradley Cooper's going to think, what Ben Affleck is going to think. Lost his Warner Brothers office as well.
Mm-hmm. Another guy got
Christopher
shafted.
Nolan is going to think.
Ooh.
Clint, Granddaddy's thinking about what Christopher Nolan would be thinking right now.
He's covering all bases in that head up there.
And you know how Wile E. Coyote, he held up the sign, says do it, and then he ran off and the sign is still there? Christopher Nolan walks into frame, and he's holding that sign right now.
Mm.
He's holding that sign, says do it. But then he spins it around. And he says to Granddaddy, think about your legacy.
Mm.
The sign had another side.
Oh, yeah. That's how it works.
And Nolan spun around. He said, think about it, your legacy. And then he spins the sign around and he said, I thought about mine. And then in parentheses, universal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Granddaddy thinks, I can't just drop David Zaslov in the ocean. Because like Christopher Nolan, I have to think about my own legacy. I have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go out the way I want to go out. And all that's run through Granddaddy's head in a snap of a finger.
Well, because he knows if he does that,
mm-hmm.
Granddaddy gets locked away with Coyote versus Acme.
Yep.
With Batgirl.
Yep.
He's in the vault. They're going to put a max security on this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Not
he
because
knows
anyone misses Zaslov, but because they don't want this to happen to other buffoonish studio executives.
Yep. If it could happen to this buffoon, it could happen to me because I, too, am a buffoon.
Exactly.
With no talent.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's not how Granddaddy wants to go out.
Nope.
He wants to go out on top. He wants to honor Clint Eastwood, who wasn't given the chance to go out on top with Juror Number 2's release.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to honor him by he's going to go out the way he wants to. He's going to leave that yacht, and he's going to go give a call to his kids, who we're not going to get into it. It's been a while, but he's going to talk to them.
Yeah.
And he's going to go play with these grandkids.
Yep.
And he's going to go to the woodshed, and he's going to just touch the sawdust where Norma's ashes are all mixed in, and he's going to feel it in his fingers, in his wrinkled fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And his kids and his grandkids are going to come running into the woodshed. And that's how he's going to go out.
Yep.
And he's going to look at that scene and he's going to say, this is how Clint should have been given a chance to go out. On top. Yep. On top. So he leaves Zaslov there. But Zaslov, he's got the chance now. He's got the chance to go a different way with his future. Yeah. I'm not confident that he's going to go the right way, that even this should be life-changing meeting with Granddaddy is going to set him on the right path, is going to set him on the path where he releases Coyote versus Acme, where he release Batgirl. It's a sign of getting on the right path.
Yeah.
It's a olive branch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not confident that next weekend he works out a deal with theaters to expand Juror Number 2 into 3,000 theaters. But he now, after today, he knows what the right thing is. He knows what the right thing is because of Granddaddy.
Yeah.
So that is Juror Number 2.
That's Juror Number 2.
That's juror number 2, opening in just a handful of theaters this weekend. Uh,
Let's
Clayton,
talk briefly about here.
let's talk about here. So here is Tom Hanks, Robin Wright Penn, or is she just Beckett Wright?
She's Robin Wright.
She's Robin Wright.
She's Robin Wright's with a pen, but she ain't Robin Wright pen.
Robin Wright, Tom Hanks, Robert Zemeckis. The Forrest Gump team is back together again with here. This is a real. How excited are you to see whatever this is? Because I could say I'm pretty excited. I want to see it. I don't think I'll have a chance personally to see it this weekend because of just it's a packed weekend with a lot of plans. But I do want to see this incredibly bizarre seeming movie. I am personally excited. What about you?
I am too. I mean, Zemeckis is a freak in the best possible way. I mean, anybody who's seen Welcome to Marwin knows what is going on in this guy's head, and I welcome it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is necessarily going to be freakish, but I do think that he's taken a swing. I mean, Hanks. Who's going to turn down the chance to see Hanks on the big screen?
Right. And you know,
De-aged Hanks.
I know. We're going to get to see all of our favorite Hanks over the years. A progression of Hanks. You know, this is a real Hanks for the memory situation where we get to see Hanks de-aged and then aged throughout.
I mean, the man with one red shoe, bachelor party,
Yes.
look in Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be great to see.
Yeah. We'll see him agents who are more mature, League of Their Own Tom Hanks, Apollo 13 Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, still baby face, but really becoming an adult Tom Hanks. All the way
Larry
through,
Crown. We're going to see Larry Crown era.
We're going to see Larry Crown, Tom Hanks. And you know what? We're going to wind up at A Man Called Otto, Tom Hanks. And then we're going to go past that into a Tom Hanks we've never seen yet. Into an older Tom Hanks. Into a Grandaddy aged Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And we will see what that is going to look like. I do want to see this. It is, like you said, Zemeckis is a freak in the best possible way. Welcome to Marwin. And Tom Hanks saw Welcome to Marwin. He said, yes, that. More of that. That I need to get in on that. Maybe not the shoe thing.
Yeah.
He's like, we could leave out the shoe thing. But I want that energy. That bizarro, let's try anything energy that Welcome to Marwin had. But Hanks did say, we won't use the shoe thing.
No.
I haven't seen here yet. You haven't seen it. But I'm pretty sure the Marwin shoe thing, you know, if it was in the script for here, Hanks, he sort of got the red pen. He said, let's lose the shoe thing.
Put the kibosh on it. I do think, and you know, the other thing too, loyalty. I mean, Zemeckis directed Hanks to an Oscar, and he remembers, and he's loyal.
Yeah.
You know, there are loyal people in this world, Tom Hanks being one of them.
And Zemeckis directed one of Hanks's biggest hits, Castaway.
Absolutely.
You know, Castaway is the movie. Hanks had the all-time movie star run in the 90s. And then that did continue when Y2K happened. And then you have movies like Castaway where Hanks still had mega hits past 1999. He is not just a product and creature of 90s movie stardom. Hanks kept rolling, and one of those was thanks to Zemeckis with Castaway.
Pat, just quickly, you believe Y2K actually happened?
I believe it was reported on, for sure. That I could say. I believe that I saw many news segments about Y2K.
Okay.
And so I assume that the clocks reset to zero and, you know, there was mass chaos in 2000. I do believe that happened.
Okay.
I was busy, getting ready to go discover the Strokes around that time. So I was a little busy to you really take in the worldwide chaos. But yes, I
But
do believe
planes were
Washington.
falling from the sky.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't on. I don't think I flew that year, but
Uh-huh.
I assume.
Okay.
So, um,
Just to clarify.
Castaway, huge hit. Zemeckis and Hanks. They obviously have a connection, and I love that Hanks is looking to try something nuts.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to do. Let's do a movie where we put the camera in one place, and the entire movie is done from one camera angle, and happens over the course of not just one lifetime, but this starts in the dinosaur age. I don't know how much time we're going to spend with dinosaurs in here, but there will be dinosaurs. There will be, I guess, settlers will be in this movie, and then we will get to Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and it'll be the story of a couple over the course of their lifetime. And Hanks wanted to try that, so I give it up for Tom Hanks saying, "I got this wacky buddy Zemeckis, who he did the shoe movie. I'm not into the shoe thing, but I want to get nuts with my buddy."
You know who's kicking themselves that they didn't come up with a similar idea here?
Who's that?
Kevin Smith. Because Kevin
Mm.
Smith barely moves the camera when he does his movies. So he's like, maybe Mallrats should just be I put the camera in one section of the mall and everything just happens there.
Yeah, Mallrats 2
Would it
using
be a
this
here
gimmick
situation?
would be a here
You
situation.
are
Yeah,
here. There's always the little arrow in a mall that's you are here. And
right.
it's just set up that camera and then the different Mallrats characters walk into frame and do their
Yeah,
thing and then walk out and then the next one comes and
yep,
Ethan Suplee is, jacked to the gills now and in great
yes,
shape and he's still trying to see the sailboat
yes,
and you don't have to move the camera once.
yes, yes. Mallrats 2, colon, you are here.
Mhm.
I think he could still make it because he could just, it's Kevin Smith. He could be like, yeah, I'm doing the here thing.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be so open about it. I mean, he'd talk about it on his podcast for 18, 20 episodes
Yep,
and
yep,
then yeah, and then he does this movie and it's like I think that's the way to go. And
yep.
Kevin, if you're listening, which we know you are,
We know you are. Or one of your, closest confidants is listening, giving
one
you a
of
written report.
one
Yeah,
of the comic book men.
yeah, yeah. Just do it. Just do Mallrats 2, colon, you are here.
Hmm.
Do the here thing. You could use a mall security cam as your fixed cam. So you don't even have to set the cam up yourself, Kevin Smith. You could just, whatever mall is letting you shoot, in the middle of the night, just use their security camera. And that's how you shoot the movie.
Probably a mall in Jersey, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah. And they'll close early to let Kevin Smith shoot his movie at night.
Hmm.
And let's face it, the mall's not busy anyway. Sad but true. These malls are dying. So
Hmm.
close it, 8:30 and let Kevin Smith film his movie at night and use your mall security cams to film his movie.
Yeah.
So that is here.
Yeah, that
Um,
is here.
we'll talk about here a lot more in the results episode in a few days when we see what here is done. Here is getting a wide release. I'm having a hard time finding a theater count, but it looks like it's getting a real release here from
Oh, it's going to be a wide it's
Sony.
going to be a legitimate wide release.
So let's get into our predictions then, Clayton. Let's get into it. And predict our top fives for the weekend. Of course, some of the holdovers are Venom, Smile 2, Wild Robot, Conclave, We Live in Time. That was last week's top five. So, Clayton, do you want to go first or second, giving your predictions for this box office weekend of Friday, November 1st?
I will go first.
All right. So, go for it.
Number 1 is gonna be Venom: The Last Dance. Now it opens soft. I think it drops precipitously, but I still think it does enough, just enough,
Mm-hmm.
to be number 1 for
Okay.
2 weekends in a row. And I'm gonna go 16 million.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that, I'm going to say it is spooky season.
Mm.
So I do think Smile is going to have a very small drop and hold on to number 2. Number 3, I think, is going to be Here, because if it makes 5 million, I think that's enough to go to number 3. Number 4, I think, is going to be Wild Robot. And then number 5, you know what? Number 5, big bounce back, Terrifier 3.
Wow, I love it.
Because it's not going to streaming. I think people are going to want to be screaming. And so Terrifier 3 climbs back up from last weekend 1 spot to number 5.
I love it. All right, so I'm going to go Venom Last Dance will be number 1 by default. I agree. This thing is going to drop, possibly a Morbius type drop, 70% or so. I don't think the horror weekend helps. I think this movie has kind of deadly buzz. You know, maybe not deadly like a Madam Web level, but people do not like this movie. So I think it's going to fall, same thing, 16, 17 million will be where it ends up. So it's going to drop 70%. I'm going number 2 is Here. I just
Okay.
feel like Hanks brings out his audience, and you talked about it being spooky season. Here, I think, could benefit from that because you got Zemeckis is sort of becoming a master of horror. You know, Welcome to Marwin, and now you roll right into this movie that has got a bizarre premise, and I think Halloween is going to help Here. I do think that. I think
Okay.
you'll get the older audience who are in the bag for Hanks, and the younger audience, because everyone, you know, people know Tom Hanks and love Tom Hanks. Those who know him love him.
Yeah.
But I do think the horror aspect of Here will help this weekend. So I think that's number 2. I think it's going to do. I think it's going to do $9 million.
9.
I think it's going to do 9. I think that Smile 2 is right underneath that. Probably does like 7. Um, and then number 4, Wild Robot, seems to be like gaining momentum. I just hear people talking about this more and more. It's becoming the favorite to win the best animated feature. So I think Wild Robot number 4, and then number 5. I'm agreeing with you. Terrifier 3 gets a bump, gets the Halloween bump. I can't
Yep.
bet against Art the Clown after all we've been through together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
He
yeah,
feels like family, doesn't he?
he does. He does. We've been through so much. He feels like family. We were able to terrify our friend Sean Donnelly by forcing him to see Art the Clown.
Your friend.
You know, my friend and Transitive Property, your associate, Sean Donnelly, at our live show in New York City. So, yeah, we've been through a lot with this Terrifier franchise. I think it comes in number 5. So, I mean, obviously, the movie we did not even consider for this top 5 was Juror number 2. And that all lies at the soaking wet feet of David Zaslov.
Mm-hmm.
That is his fault, because Juror number 2 should be finishing no lower than number 2 this weekend.
Yep.
If it had
absolutely.
been released by a real studio head.
Mm-hmm.
Email us, theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. We got a lot of great emails we have to get to. Thought we'd get to them on this episode, but Granddaddy, he really had a lot to say, to work out emotionally, physically. So, you know, we just couldn't get to the emails, but email us, theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. We will get to those emails very soon, possibly our next episode. Follow us on social media at theboboyspod. We're on TikTok. We're still on Twitter X, probably not for much longer. And we're on Instagram. That is the place to be. Follow us at the BO Boys Pod on Instagram. Wanna be a VP of interns, Christopher, killing it with the vertical clips. He's running that Instagram. He's loving it. People are loving it. So follow us there. 5 stars in Apple Podcasts. Watch us on YouTube. We are YouTubers. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Man, so much stuff there. The New York City special, live from New York, the BO Boys. It's on YouTube right now. Obviously, it doesn't have the short films or the monologue, the things that we'll also be doing in Boston, but it's still got an hour of brand new material, filmed by great listener Jordan, wannabe oh boy Jordan, filmed that special. Huge credit for him. He filmed a live 1 hour special. That is on the BO Boys YouTube channel, so subscribe.
And it's on his
check that out.
IMDb.
It's on his, yeah. I mean, this is a huge credit. Directed a live 1 hour comedy special from New York City. So, want to be oh boy Jordan, great work, good for you. And yeah, of course the Substack we'll be really cranking that up the end of the year. Once we got the Boston show, couple of weeks with Podcast Jesus, KIRK Minihane will be our guest, and also, you know, happy birthday. It's a Podcast Jesus. Today is his birthday. So there you go. He talked about that on his show. And said that today, Halloween, would be his birthday show. So happy birthday from the BO Boys.
Happy birthday.
To our guest at the Comedy Studio in Boston on November 16th, KIRK Minihane. Last show of the 2024 tour. But after the success of this tour so far, I mean, get ready 2025. That's all I'll say. So, yeah, get your tickets for that show. There's probably just a few remaining, but that show is going to be a wild scene. And that is all I got, Clayton. I'm spent.
I mean, Pat, you've said it all.
Yeah.
And there's nothing left to be said.
No, I'm out of here.
Except for, until next time, we'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it.